Who knew a fourth installment in a franchise would actually be pretty good? Let's get into it. Hello there, Clapperheads, and welcome to a brand new edition of ClapperCorns. I'm Nick Dorian. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the latest installment in the Planet of the Apes franchise, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. With most franchises, it tends to get a bit stale past the third film. Most production companies just cash in on the franchise and make installments way past their expiration date. Fast and Furious. So it came as a bit of a worry when 20th Century Studios announced they were making a fourth installment in the Planet of the Apes franchise. And in all honesty, it felt a bit weird because the first trilogy closed up very nicely and completed the whole of Caesar's story from birth to death. Spoilers if you haven't seen Planet of the Apes. Sorry. So what on earth were they going to talk about in the fourth film? But then I watched it and I was so pleasantly surprised. Set many generations after Caesar's death, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes tells the story of a young ape Noah who goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything that he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future not just for apes but humans alike. Following in the footsteps of the first three films, this installment delivers yet a wonderful, gripping story that is filled with political and humanitarian undertones. It's a story that will make you think as a humanity as a whole, as well as realize that when it comes down to being just primitive beings, politics somehow still plays a role in everything. The greed for power, for rule, for dictatorship, everything is at play here in this film, albeit by a bunch of apes. It's a very deep conversation that this film is trying to have with its audience, and I am totally here for it. I'm enjoying the fact that we're coming back to an age where story rules supreme. If you didn't have a good, rich story, you're gonna have a flat film. With films like Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, or even the most recent Furiosa, it's starting to prove that people want a good story. Let it take its time and mature and sit with you and be completely immersed and connected to the characters that are on screen. And speaking of characters on screen, the one thing that Planet of the Apes seems to do extremely well is make us sympathize and emote with these bunch of CGI apes. And with technology moving further and further, this installment makes it honestly very difficult to distinguish what's real and what's CGI. Even down to the apes themselves. After a while you get lost and you actually think, are these real animals that are talking to me? It was so good that even their acting overshadowed their human counterparts. There was just so much emotion going on and so much going on with the eyes especially that you truly get lost and you feel everything that these entire clans of apes are feeling. Another thing that is brilliant about this film is that there's nothing left untouched. Everything has a reason and everything gets linked back together at the end. With a runtime of nearly 2.5 hours, it doesn't feel that long when you see it. Because of the fact that they've developed such a well-crafted story that paces very well, you barely feel any time being slowed down, everything moves very well, and everything just comes right at you. At the end of the day, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is proof that you can continue a good franchise as long as you keep the roots of it. Remember what made the films great and utilize that for future installments. It's all about consistency, it's all about the theme, and that's what will make a franchise work well. Not you, Fast and Furious. So do yourself a favor, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is in cinemas all over Malaysia right now. Go and catch it as soon as possible, and I would recommend go catching it in IMAX to see it in its full glory. And as always, you can check us out on all social media. It's all on the screen at the moment: Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Go and subscribe to those channels for more updates. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm Nick Dorian, and as always, keep watching the movies.